Hey guys, I'm Tyler, and welcome back to Censored Society. Today I want to talk about the shooting that happened in Texas at the ICE facility. I have a couple of points that I want to hit, and I'm kind of super bad with my ADHD, and I'm untreated, so I have a little bit of a structure over here to help me stay on track because I have a tendency to jump in rabbit holes. So if you guys see me looking over there, that's all it is. But without any further ado, let's talk about this horrible thing that happened in Texas. As you guys can see on the screen, I have a picture up from the FBI Director Kash Patel, and the picture is, for the people that are listening, it is some unspent shell casings, and on them is anti-ICE written on it. Now, this is the third shooting that I am personally aware of where someone has inscribed leftist messaging on them, and I kind of want to take this opportunity to bridge this into the conversation that I had with you guys in a video I posted a couple days ago about whether or not the internet is a net negative or a net positive. And the reason I want to tie that back to that in this particular video is because in that video I had cited the extremism that we see in America as one of the fundamentals of my argument. And this kind of rings true to what I was saying. I think, and if you guys haven't watched it, I recommend going and watching it. For if you don't want to, I'll give you a TLDR. And the TLDR is that I think that the constant exposure to violence, excess of information and news from atrocities and just horrible things that are happening all across the country, I think has desensitized brains so much that they don't value life like they should. There's other reasons, of course, for that loss of value of life. This is one of those rabbit holes I jump into, but I just want to make sure that I also point this out, that in society we have a lot less of a shared perspective that we used to have. We had shared values in religion, and if you weren't religious, you still understood the morals of God and laws and all that stuff, and you respected life. But we've gotten so far from that in society that coupled with the internet, I think, is the primary reason why we see radicalization. And also in that video, I spoke about how politicians leverage these algorithms against us to divide us further, and also that the social media platforms have also leveraged those algorithms against us to show us gratuitous violence and things like that make us angry, so that we stay on their platforms longer. They make more advertising dollars, and they just leverage us for their own financial gain. So that was my argument in that video, and I think that this is evident of the issues that I touched on. Politics is so radical and consuming the algorithms to such an extent that people that are chronically online, they fall into these extremist echo chamber rabbit holes, like I fall into with distraction, and they adopt these fringe ideologies, these doctrines as their new religion. And it's honestly terrifying to me, and this is the next point that I want to get to. I'm getting off the fence on a position that I've kind of described in the introductory podcast and in the last video, and I'm getting off of that fence now. Ryan, if you're watching this, you're going to have a problem with this. I'm sorry, man, but when I see the writing on the wall, I'm going to call the writing out on the wall for what it is. And we need to discuss how the extremism is present on both sides. Do not get me wrong. Do not get it twisted. I'm not saying that it doesn't exist on both sides. Both sides are absolutely guilty of it. However, the point that I'm going to draw right now, the distinction, is that the extremism that is existing on the left right now is the face of the Democrat Party. The extremism on the right does not represent the Republican Party at all. In fact, the values are opposite of what the Republicans stand for. And every time something happens, Republicans disavow it entirely. They condemn it, especially the people who just represent it and speak for it. They disavow that kind of behavior all the time. And I can't think of a single issue that Republicans have gone further right on at all. If you can, let me know in the comment section down below. But I can think of, just off the top of my head, several the Democrats have. And that's that Overton window that I've described in the past, how it has just shot so far over to the left, and everyone on the right is exactly where they were and going, what the heck? And then the people in the center, even they're going, what the heck? Because they're being called Nazis too. So anyway, back onto the point that I was making. The extremism on the left is the face of the Democrat Party. The ideology that is inscribed on these shell casings is the ideology that is most commonly heard by our politicians on the House floor, by our senators in the left wing, and by governors and mayors in the left wing. It is disturbing, and it is honestly more concerning than I could possibly describe in words. For example, I'll do my best to do so for you, but this isn't a traditional copycat. That's another concern that I have from the internet, is This radicalization isn't just someone seeing something horrible in the newspaper, seeing something on the news, and one sick man, sick woman copying it and doing it. This is an entire ideological movement, political ideological movement, and there's millions and millions and millions of them captured by this. There's nests and hubs of this extremist ideology on the internet, on Twitch, Reddit specifically. Those two places are just horrible. And one of my favorite creators actually has a comment to Kash Patel on this post where he says, "This is the part where I, once again, beg you to start looking online and investigating/prosecuting the people calling openly for violence. So many people get radicalized by this rhetoric and end up doing something horrible. You're the FBI director. Start acting like it." He addresses Kash Patel right there at the end. And I agree. We have these politicians tacitly and sometimes outright endorsing this political violence or espousing the ideology to which it attaches. It is the face of the Democrat Party, and some of you may be shaking your head, but AOC espoused many of these ideological things that are on these shell casings on the House floor. She posts about them on Twitter. So does the rest of the squad. So do most of the people on the left. And AOC is, whether you want to admit it or not, the largest voice on the left. She is the face of the Democrat Party, and if she decides to run for president in 2028, she has a real shot at becoming president, and that should terrify you to your core because of how much she espouses and endorses this ideology. Yeah, on the surface, she condemns political violence, but she does the same tacit stuff that all these other politicians on the left do. There's always a but at the end, like I go on to describe, like I have described. Now, I know there's great people on the left, Democrats, that are disillusioned with the Democrat Party, and you guys are coming back to the middle, and you're trying to get away from it. You're trying to see what the other side has to say, and I welcome you. And that's what my co-host of this podcast, he also wants that. He wants to reach across that divide and get a hold of the people like you and reclaim the Democrat Party for actual Democrats, not these extremists. And I totally agree with that mission. I totally agree with it. But you can't get there unless you call out the writing on the wall for what it is. Right now, the people in power in the Democrat Party, they are absolutely worsening the rhetoric. They are responsible for this rhetoric, in fact. They have blood on their hands. The things they tweet, the things they say, demonizing their opponents as Nazis, fascists, existential threats, all of that. What do you think the logical response is to somebody? Or what do you think the logical response of someone is when you tell them the worst organization to ever exist in humanity, Nazis, they are here in America and they vote for Republicans? And they are Republicans. Are there anybody who disagrees with this ideology? What do you think the result of that is? This is as bad as people calling Democrats communism or communists in the 60s. It's just as bad as during the Cold War. And what's scary is that word communism and socialist has lost so much of its gravitas because of that, because people just slandered people with it. And now we have actual communists in our government doing exactly what I am talking about. On the left wing, AOC and the squad, many others, espousing dangerous ideology, tacitly endorsing political violence, or outright doing so. You have them revealing the locations of ICE raids. Gavin Newsom, the governor of California, passing into law a law that requires not federal employees, but federal officers to remove their masks. How do you think that this shooting would go if the person wasn't showing up to an ICE facility to shoot it and instead showed up to, let's say you were an ICE officer, person on the left who's watching this, you're an ICE officer, and an extremist shows up and you're just doing your job. Someone shows up to your house and kills you. Shoots, or let's say they don't kill you, they fire a bunch of rounds into your home, and thankfully you and your family escaped. How scary is that? That's terrifying, right? Imagine how much worse it's going to be because of what Gavin Newsom is doing. And he's not doing this to protect people. He's trying to play that he has this altruistic perspective, and that's why he's doing it. No, he's not. He's doing it to intimidate. He wants those masks off so that the officers feel intimidated and they don't come and do their jobs because they don't want their families in danger and they don't want to lose their lives by these sick leftists who will dox them and find their fucking families. That's where we are in society. And I'm going to call a sheep for a sheep. I'm going to call a snake for a snake. I'm going to call it the writing on the wall. We have to do something about this rampant left-wing extremism in this country that is on these shell casings now. This is 3 that I know of. We also have multiple other instances of left-wing terrorism in this country just this month. The ABC shooting, where the people went and shot the ABC headquarters because of the Jimmy Kimmel suspension, the person going on to that wedding, shouting Free Palestine and killing somebody. It's getting worse and worse and worse. And the statistics don't accurately show it, and it's disgusting that we live in a world where we can't even trust our stats. In 2020, we had the George Floyd riots. Some of you may remember a video where a man screams, "Trumper, Trumper, Trump supporter," something right over here, and this guy runs up and shoots and kills him. That did not get counted as left-wing violence. What else could it possibly be? It was politically motivated. Absolutely was left-wing violence. Didn't get counted. In fact, nothing from the 2020 riots got counted as left-wing violence in our statistics. But you go on there and you look at the right-wing violence. There's like multiple categories for right-wing violence, and it just shows that the right wing is going crazy, which couldn't be further from the truth. You know that, I know that, everybody knows that. The left even know that. They don't want to admit it though. But everybody in the middle, the people who are becoming disillusioned with the Democrat Party, you know it. So here's an example of something they have associated with the right wing, with right-wing violence. And it's because it's religiously ideological. So I understand why it's put there, but it's not from the right wing. I think it was called the Pulse nightclub or something like that. I could have the name of the club wrong. But this gay nightclub, a mass murder happened. And a fundamentalist Islamic person went in there and killed a bunch of gay guys, homosexuals. That wasn't the Christian right that you normally think of. The Christian right don't even want those Islamic fundamentalists in the country. Not all people that are Middle Eastern, just the people that are extreme fundamentalists like that. The right-wing violent crime, political violent crime is so low, you're importing it, Democrats. You're importing it. That's not the Christian right doing that. But that's counted towards right-wing violence in this country. But like I said, those George Floyd riots, none of them were. None of it was. Nothing. All those people that died, buildings burned, cities taken over, none of it was counted. We have to address the left-wing extremism in this country. We have to oust these people that are in Congress and in Senate. And what's sick is you have the Democrats doing evil, diabolical things that are disenfranchising Americans to make sure that they keep their power. Why do you think they're pumping in all these illegal immigrants? It's so that they can count them towards the census, get more electoral college votes because the population increased, and more seats in the House. This isn't the great replacement theory or none of that. I don't think that's what's going on. I just think they're importing people to give them a disproportionate power because they know they're losing the argument. They know that the good people, the rational people that used to make up a majority of the left are seeing right through this and are completely disillusioned with it and want nothing to do with it anymore. So instead of, adjusting and changing their policies, they're continuing to go further left while importing another group of people into this country to elevate their level of power. And again, to the left-wingers that are becoming disillusioned with this and want to have a conversation, please comment down below. We'd love to have you. We're going to be replying to these comments on future podcasts, and eventually we're going to be going live so you guys can talk with us live while we're doing this. We'd love to hear from you. We want you guys to come and reclaim the Democrat Party from these extremists. But much like communism lost its power, fascist, Nazi, existential threat is losing its power on the right. But it's not losing its power in the violence that it's inciting. That has to stop. It cannot continue like this. And my concern is because these shootings are ideological in nature, like I said, this isn't just a normal copycat where someone saw it on the news or in the paper, that is just going to get worse and worse. We're going to see escalating violence. Because of that, people are so captured. It's their new religion. That terrifies me. This is what I was worried about when I discussed this in my Is the Internet a Net Negative or Net Positive video. This continued violence, this ideological capture is what I was worried about. And thank you, Asmongold, for being in this comment section down here and saying that the FBI needs to investigate these online platforms because it's ridiculous that Hasan Piker isn't banned on Twitch after he endorses openly Hezbollah and the Houthis and Hamas. He brings them on to his stream and interviews them and glazes them over. He calls for the death of Ethan Klein's wife because she served in the IDF in Israel, so she's a valid military target. He said, your favorite podcaster's wife, which is clearly an allusion to Hila. It's sick. It's wrong. He should be banned. Anyway, Kash Patel, if you watch this, you hear this, please investigate. Enforce our laws. Hasan Piker should not be out here endorsing terrorism tacitly, using coded language, or openly. We cannot continue to have our country fall apart like this. Fall down the fucking rabbit hole into Alice in Wonderland. Thank you guys for watching. I'm trying my best not to curse. One slipped out there at the end. I apologize. I know some of you guys are probably going to watch this with your family. I'll do my best to mitigate it even further going forward. Sometimes I just get so emotional it slips out. This is Tyler with Censored Society. Thank you for watching and sharing your perspective. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.